As we reported earlier, Republican voters in South Carolina will head to the polls Saturday for the state's GOP primary. Donald Trump is leading Nikki Haley in the polls by double digits. But Haley has repeatedly vowed to stay in the race after South Carolina to Super Tuesday, which is about a week and a half from now. CBS News politics reporter Zak Hudak joins me now. Zak, so what does Nikki Haley need to do to stay alive when South Carolina is over?
Elaine, we're already seeing the Haley campaign put expectations at a pretty low level for her performance in South Carolina. That is clearly because they know they're not going to make a major dent into former President Trump's standing in the state. So what they're talking about now is this path that they have to still get enough delegates that they could still be the nominee even after losing the first 4 primary contests. Nearly impossible, but it continues to get narrower. And I think a big part of what we see them waiting for at this stage is any external variable that could derail the Trump campaign, whether that be a gaffe or a legal development or something along those lines.
All right, well, let's turn now to the Alabama embryo ruling. How are Republican lawmakers reacting to that decision?
They are largely condemning it and saying that the state government should have stayed out of that particular issue. We're even seeing today Donald Trump come out and say that he supports IVF. And he has a bit of an interesting dynamic there because he has spent a few years now bragging that his Supreme Court nominees led to the repeal of Roe. Now he's dealing with Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and other Democrats knocking him and his administration, saying this is the natural next step after that happened. So he is walking a tight rope here in order to continue to take credit for the rollback of abortion rights, but show there are some things that he knows are unpopular and that he would fight to try to protect.
Well, how much do you anticipate the topic of IVF to become an issue in the general election and both presidential and legislative elections?
I think, Elaine, it is likely to be a major issue in legislative elections and likely as well, but maybe to a lesser extent in presidential elections. The biggest factor is going to be how good of a job Republicans are able to do kind of having it both ways, I was discussing with Donald Trump, and more importantly than that, how well Democrats do at making Americans worried that if Republicans are in control, they are going to have rights like these rolled back. That was something we saw in the 2020 Senate campaign in Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz, the biggest gaffe of his campaign was talking about abortion and really giving Democrats something to run on, something to say, there are rights that you have now that you will not have if this man wins.
Right. We saw Democrats essentially activated after those comments. Meanwhile, the Biden campaign has touted some impressive fundraising numbers despite his somewhat low polling numbers. So what do you think the reason is for that?
I think that the polling numbers are likely more indicative of where his support lies than the fundraising numbers. As an incumbent, you already have a built-in advantage when it comes to fundraising. You're already paired up with the DNC or RNC, so you have that apparatus to help you. You also have all of your banks of former donors and voters that you have accumulated through the previous campaigns you've run. There are frankly just a lot of advantages you have when it comes to fundraising if you already hold office. I think that Donald Trump definitely has money problems and has to continue spending money on legal fees. That is a problem that President Biden does not have, so it does give him an advantage there. But I do not think that it is to suggest that the polling is not accurate or that he has some hidden support we're not seeing at this stage.
All right. Zak Hudak in Washington for us. Zak, thank you.
Thank you.